I'm going up there, which is Lingmoor Fell, Bran Howe, and I'm off to find something called the squeeze. Guess I'm going the right way. Is that not just the perfect place to sit and wait? There is the squeeze. Right, let's see if I'm too fat to get through it. So for not having a clue what I was going to talk about, sort of went round the houses a bit there. Started off talking about festivals, ended up talking about you're in a monologue, and well, the definition of true self, I suppose. It's quite profound, weren't it? So we are, Bays Brown campsite in Great Langdale. There's a Langdale Pikes up that way, but I'm going up there, which is Lingmoor Fell, Bran Howe, and I'm off to find something called the squeeze. So we'll see if we can see it. I'm going to take dogs with us, and we should end up in the valley there in Dungeon Gill. Hopefully I'll meet Claire for dinner. So just walking on the main path that goes from Bays Brown. Actually it goes all the way to Dungeons Gill, all the way to Eltamere Hotel. That's where we had lunch yesterday, and I'm looking for a path that branches off up right and goes to the quarry up the hill. Coming up now, going to go around the bend and should come out of the woods. So lots of quarries here. Actually done the majority of this walk last year when I was testing out what was my new prosthetic that really didn't work, really didn't fit well. And so it's a year since I've done that walk, and when I came off I took a different route off Lingmoor Fell, went via Lingmoor Tarn, which we'll be able to see, we'll pass it. But as I came off on the map, it was showing a path that just wasn't there, and it really was quite brutal coming off, especially with a prosthetic that wasn't fitting very well. But today I'm going to kind of bear left, stay on the path that follows a wall to a kind of rock formation called Side Pike, and on this side pike is a kind of rock that juts out. It's called the squeeze, and it looks like it's on a precipice, but I've been assured it's not, and it's okay. Quarries on this side of Lingmoor Fell, going into Great Langdale. Hey, that's the view. Should be able to see the campsite from here, maybe. Yep, there it is. So that's Great Langdale, and down there is Bays Brown campsite. Yeah, so this quarry here I've seen before. It's really quite eerie. Here it is. Let's go and have a look in and have a sit down. Wow. Do you know what it reminds me of? The cave in Lord of the Rings that they'll go through. It's got that same kind of cold air coming from it. Yeah, it's quite Oi, Nora, don't go too far. It's quite creepy actually. Just taking my leg off, it's quite painful. It's quite hard, difficult walking on lots of rocks and rocky terrain where there's a lot of lateral movement in the ankle. My walking leg's got a bit of lateral movement, but obviously not as much as a proper ankle. So that's it. It does cause the pain that I've been suffering with. Guess I'm going the right way. Up that way we go. So that's us. Me and the dog's just coming up now to the crest of Lingmoor Fell, and we'll just pick up the main track that will take us to I've forgotten what it's called. Wherever we're going, the squeeze. It's just, there's a wall, this wall here you can see running. I think we'll be following that virtually all the way. There's a path that kind of follows it. That's quite prominent. I'm going to get up the top here, find somewhere nice to stop, and I'm going to have a sandwich, or at least half my sandwich, and get the dog something to eat as well. I think the sun's trying to break out. Right, let's have a sandwich. Let's get mine out and find where I'll put the dogs. Where'd I put your treats? There we go. You want the treats? You want a treat, Nora? Hilda? Good girls. So first came to Langdale years ago when we came up for Kendall calling, and first time we actually met, I was at the just straight after losing my leg. I was at the Royal Marines charity dinner. I think it was a C group back then. It was a C group dinner. And they got Helen Skelton to host it. And she was saying that Kendall, we was talking about festivals. Because I think we was talking about going to Glastonbury, which was 2014, which is the first Glastonbury after I lost my leg. And she mentioned about Kendal Calling because she said her family farm backed on to where the festival site was originally when it was in Kendal, before it moved up to Lowther Castle in Penrith. So that's where we first got the idea of going to Kendal Calling. Looked into it, looked like it had a great lineup, and we came up and we really loved it. Right, off we go. Just skirting the top now of Lingmoor Fell. Still got a bit of climbing to do, but it's kind of up and down, a bit more undulating from here on in. So I was just saying about coming up here for the first time was for Kendal Calling. And then we started talking to Helen Skelton about Glastonbury. So we've been going Glastonbury since 2002, me and Claire, and that was kind of strange how that came about. This is back in 2000. Claire was working in the music and art department in Plymouth Library, and this guy used to come in every week and used to like sign out CDs, the same as books. And this guy came in, and he'd been coming in every week, really quiet and shy. But he came in so infused with David Bowie. He had a big pile of David Bowie CDs, and he just kept going on about, you know, I'd just seen Bowie at Glastonbury. It was amazing, most amazing thing. And the change from this, you know, shy, quiet guy to someone who was sort of absolutely astonished and was talking about Glastonbury was so stark that she thought, right, we're going. So that was in 2000. The next festival was 2002, and I'd come back from the Oman. I was a corporal in Charlie Company. I came back. I had a little hobby for a couple of years of failing selection, and it was before my first selection. And the rest of the unit, when we had a conversation with the Sergeant Major out in the Oman, the Twin Towers had just gone down. Nora, stay close. And we were in Cyprus when that happened. That was a story. And then we was gonna, it looked like everything was gonna kick off in the Royal Marines and 40 Commando, and then Charlie Company especially, would look like they were going to be in the mix of it all. And Ben, my Sergeant Major, had a chat with us. So this was in, must have been 2001, and he basically, end of 2001, he said, look, I've got your flight back for your aptitude, which was like the pre-select. Do you want to go? You know what's going to happen. And I had to get special dispensation to go on selection because of my age. So I couldn't put it off. I had to go. And basically said the same. I said, I know what's going to happen. You're all going to go off to war and be war heroes. And I'm going to go and fail selection. Which is almost what happened. So I passed the aptitude. Got loaded onto a summer selection, and just before it, weekend before, was Glastonbury, and I thought, you know what, I'm as fit as I can probably get. Could do with a weekend's rest before I go up on the Brecon Senny Bridge for the hills. So I went Glastonbury with Claire, and I always remember we parked the car in a field full of cars, and I remember picking a really prominent tree, 2 prominent trees, and like triangulating and think, right, I'll be able to find the car. And then we yonked off with I had a Pussersbergen with an Arctic 4-man tent underneath the flap. And we walked through about 7 other fields full of cars. I remember thinking, I ain't got a clue where my car is now. God knows how I'm going to find it on Sunday. And then you kind of start going through the camper van fields, and there's this one, I don't know if it's East Gate. It's the gate in and out of Glastonbury, if you know it, by the acoustic tent and the circus field. And there's a hill that drops down to the gate, and we stood on top of the hill, and you can see all of Glastonbury laid out in front of you. The Dandy Warhols were playing their biggest song at the time, and Bohemian Like You. And the wind changed direction, and the sound from the pyramid stage just washed over us. It was like Friday, about 2 o'clock. I just remember like my jaw dropping at just the spectacle what I was seeing. And really, Glastonbury became part of our life. Had a fantastic festival. Then on the Sunday, I was leaving early because I had selection. And as I was going out, packed everything up, I heard Frank, and I sort of ignored it because I weren't expecting anyone to use my military name, and he said, Frank, and I looked round, and it was my Sergeant Major, Ben Jackson. I was like, this is like the last person you ever expect to meet at Glastonbury. I was like, hello sir, and he goes, I thought you was on selection. I said, yeah, I'm going tomorrow. He went, oh, right. Said dad goodbyes. I went off, failed selection, and then rejoined Charlie Company just in time to sail out and Iraq. And the rest, they say, is history. So this is the wall I'm following all the way up. I think it goes all the way up to Brown Howe, and then all the way across to Side. Is it Side Pike? I think it's called, where I'm heading. It's quite spectacular, isn't it? Can't not sit here, can you? This is beautiful. That's my view. Stunning. Been thinking about Iraq a lot recently. The way I tell my story, and it's a big part of the book as well, is it's really why I became a Marine, a Royal Marine, and why I wanted to be a Royal Marine. My dad had quite a difficult childhood, I suppose. My dad was a violent alcoholic, and he used to beat me mum up. And when this was happening, my mum used to cry for me to come and help her, and as a little tot I used to freeze with fear in the doorway, so I was obviously petrified of my dad. And I only really know that because my mum told me, or I did only really know that because my mum told me, because all the instances when that happened, those episodes, they're kind of locked away, or they were, and I've got quite a vivid memory of the before and the after, but nothing in between. So those episodes were locked away deep in my subconscious until it's probably about 2 years ago now. One of the memories just popped into my head. I was driving along, it's going back from my son's house, and it just popped in my head, which is really weird. I just turned to Claire and went, You never guess what's just happened. And I told her, and she went, "Are you okay?" I went, "Yeah." It did change me. It wasn't like a flashback. It was just, it's like the memory just was there. The only way I can describe it is like someone had plugged a hard drive, an external hard drive in, and you could access. But it was only one particular episode, and it was quite harrowing, but it changed my perception of my mum. I think I've been really harsh whenever I've thought about my mum. We had quite a difficult relationship, and I never really know why. I thought long and hard about it, obviously, as you would, but never really got to the bottom or come to a conclusion that's gone, that's it, or that and that. The shame is that it happened after she died, because it did change my whole perspective of her and what she went through. So anyway, talking about Iraq and why I joined the Marines, and you know, you don't have to be a genius of psychoanalytics to kind of draw the lines together or draw the dots together. And I sit there, I'd freeze with fear, and I've got that memory of being stood there and watching it and shouting at me dad to stop, and it made me feel like a coward, made me feel inadequate, and I always thought I was a coward, and that's why I think I wanted to join the Marines. I wanted to be a Royal Marine since before I could remember, and I guess when I was growing up, the epitome of someone who was brave and strong and could protect their mum was a Royal Marine Commando, and I think that's what I wanted to be. I don't think I wanted to be a soldier per se, because I was told at 13 I wasn't what the Marines were looking for, and I was told at 19 as well, when I went to the careers office, didn't even get beyond the interview, when I was told the exact same thing. I wasn't what they were looking for. I didn't just want to be a soldier because I would have just gone off and joined the army. I wanted to be a Royal Marine, and I think it's because as a kid growing up, the epitome of someone who was big, brave and strong and could stand up and protect their mother was a Royal Marine. So that's where wanting to join the Royal Marines came from. Just taking my leg off and admiring the view. There's the wall going off in that direction, and that, I think, is Bran Howe just there, maybe. Yeah, so being told twice I wasn't what they were looking for, I didn't set out to prove anyone wrong, because the first time was at 13, when you take your options in school. We had a bit of a careers fair, and they had each of the armed forces there, and I went straight up to the Royal Marine and said, when I leave school I want to join the Marines. And he goes, you captain of the football team? I was like, no. He said, are you in the football team? I was like, no. Despite playing football every break time, he then asked me, rugby team? I was like, we haven't got a rugby team. And he said, you're not what we're looking for, sorry. We're only looking for the captains of the school football teams. I was like, oh. And he had a big pile of brochures behind him. And I said, can I have one of the brochures? And the pile was about that high. And he said, I'm sorry, I haven't got a lot of them left. And I remember looking at them thinking, shit, I'm not even worth a pamphlet. And then I eventually did get in, obviously, and I passed out as an original, one of only 11 out of the 38 of us who joined up. And when we joined up, I remember thinking and doing the maths. I knew only a third would get through, and I was firmly in the bottom third. I scraped a pass on the potential recruits course, which is like the selection, 4 days, 3 nights I think it was, down at Lympstone. And I know I scraped it, so I got called in by the Sergeant Major after he said we'd passed, and he said, "You have literally just scraped through this." So when I joined my troop, I kind of thought, I ain't got a hope, but I did. I ended up passing out. And I always remember whenever anyone left, I remember thinking to myself, why are you leaving? You're so much fitter than me, and I'm doing my damnedest, like, feel like I'm just clinging on by my fingernails just to stay in. But I grew in confidence as training went on, and there's more and more people left, and ended up passing out. And when I passed out, I don't know if I understood that the reason why I joined up was to prove to myself that I wasn't a coward. Let's get my leg on. But I don't think there was that kind of understanding back then that's why I'd done it. But I knew that I wanted to be a particular type of person, a tough person, like a soldier, a Royal Marine Commando. That's what I wanted to be. When I passed out, I still felt like the Wally that I felt my dad thought I was. I still felt like that person, but now I was a Royal Marine, and it was like the worst case of imposter syndrome. And I had a great time in the Corps, fantastic time. But whenever there was I was quite good on exercises and on courses, and so if you was ever on exercise or doing something on course, or particularly when I was a corporal, so I kind of got promoted quite early, certainly before I thought I was ready to be a corporal, and found that quite difficult, telling people what to do when I didn't think I really knew what I was doing, let alone what anyone else was doing. There's some people watching this going, you still don't know what you're doing, and they're probably right. But there was definitely a feeling whenever I was doing something. No, not even a feeling, actually, it was a voice. It was that internal monologue that most of us have that would say to me, and it was a conversation. It'd say, it's all right doing this now, but as soon as this becomes real, i.e. people start shooting back at you, you're not going to be able to do this because you're a coward. And it was quite matter of fact, and that inner monologue, that accuser, so I used to call it, that was quite powerful, that voice, and I never questioned it. I just assumed that that's what I was. And it was only when we went into Iraq, on the first night, my section took a building in say called the Manifold and Metering Station, just outside the town of Al4, and it was on the corner, and there's a guy called Snaggle, and he shouted back, they're shooting at me, and I knew then that I'd have to lead my section round that corner. Couldn't order anyone into oncoming fire, and I genuinely thought when I went round that corner there was a very real chance that I was going to get shot and come back the other way. I didn't get shot, and actually I don't think we were under that much fire if we were under any, but I didn't know that at the time. And from that point I could say to that voice, the accuser, I could say, here's my evidence that I'm not a coward. Where's your evidence I am? And it was really a conversation like that. And over time, that voice got quieter. And there's other parts of my life where you don't feel adequate. I suppose that's the same for everybody. And I've used that voice, I've used evidence to prove, well, here's my evidence that I'm not what you're saying I am. And that's what really has been the main driving force, the thing that's driven me, I think, all my life, is gaining evidence to, counter. Norma, come on, Hilda. To gather evidence to counter whatever the accuser was saying at that particular time. And the reason I've been thinking about that and about Iraq, because I thought that this kind of evidence-based formula that I had worked quite well, but I was kind of becoming more and more aware that actually the accuser didn't go away, it just changed context. And that had been playing on my mind for quite a while, leading up to the beginning of the summer, when I had a chance encounter with a guy that I knew through rowing, Alex Mackenzie, his name is. He started Road to Recovery, and then he handed over to a guy called Paddy Nicol, lovely guy, who took on the mantle of Road to Recovery for my row. But I knew Alex loosely through socials and a few piss-ups, and I was helping my good friend Baz Gray doing backup to his when he ran the length of the Thames, when Alex got in touch and said, dude, you're literally round the corner from me. And then I met up with him. I'll talk about that in a second. Here we go, so this is me coming up now to Bran Howe. Just coming off the high point, Bran Howe, and it's a little bit tricky here and there, and taking its toll on my my leg. Yeah, it's just quite rocky, which would be ideal going up, but going down, because my left leg doesn't really bend that well. It only bends to 90 degrees. Find coming off things like this really difficult. So there are the Langdale Pikes, and that there is Lingmoor Tarn. That's where I walked to before. I think I went off this way down there, but I'm not going that way this time. this time I'm going off a side pike, which you'll see just as we come up over this little rise here, and that's where the squeeze is. So I'll see if I'll get through it, see if I'm a fatty or not. It's quite a nice path. Yeah, so there's the wall that I'll be following, and it goes all the way down to that, which is side pike. I'll go around it, which is where the squeeze is, and then off, and then round underneath to Dungeon Gill, which is in that direction. So Alex Mackenzie, I met up with Alex, and got in contact with him, and he said give me a call. Does like business mentoring kind of stuff, so he wanted to help us out. So we arranged a call, and I thought it would be to help me kind of marketing my speaker business, and hopefully get a bit more work. And we started talking, and there's been a thing, whilst I've been thinking about Iraq, and more specifically that voice, the accuser, and using evidence. Another thing that's been playing on my mind recently is about playing the fool and making jokes and just being an idiot, which I quite like. And I've always liked cracking jokes, playing the fool sometimes, and one of the things we were really talking about was I kind of see it as a trade-off between that and taking myself seriously. I kind of think that people always underestimate me and don't take me seriously, and I know a lot of that is because I don't take myself seriously, so why should anyone else? But there's also with me book, people who read it and get in contact, and they say lovely things about it, but almost universally they're surprised. They're like, it's really good. And I'm like, well, thank you, but you don't have to say it's so bloody surprised. But it's that kind of thing, I think. And I've always felt that people have underestimated me, interspersed with there's quite a few people in my career and life who have helped me or seen something in me that others haven't, so it isn't completely one way. So without sounding like David Brent, I want the people to think of me as a friend first, a comedian second. I'm laughing now. Laughing at things is a big part of who I am, and I always saw that as a compromise, that people aren't going to take me seriously because I don't take myself seriously, and I'm quite happy not taking myself too seriously. But when I was talking to Alex about this, trying to find, perhaps I got the compromise between the two things a little bit off. We were talking, and then like, why do I feel the need to make other people laugh? And it's really interesting how he'd ask a question and that would lead my own thought in a certain direction. Very clever, the way he'd done it, but it's quite tricky here. just to show you what I'm coming down. So this is what I'm coming down now. So it's nothing too tricky, but for me it's really quite difficult. Going down's always harder than going up. So thinking about why, and you know, then I started thinking about the possibility that it's kind of like a defence mechanism, going back to when I was a child, and you know, the difficult upbringing, and it's my way of, when I meet people, of saying, look at me, I'm funny, laugh at me, I'm not a threat. And part of that is also, I've known for years, I hate confrontation, absolutely hate it. You know, growing up in a household, it was dominated by, it was dominated by violence and then rows and arguments, and it wasn't very stable. It's not hard to see why, and very understandable why I don't like confrontation, but I've never really never tied those two aspects of who I am together. Whenever I've had to have a confrontation, someone's blatantly taking the piss and you need to have words, I really have to gear myself up to do it, and then I have to overthink it because it isn't a natural thing for me to do. You like always second guessing, am I right doing this? Am I in the wrong? So not liking confrontation and always wanting to make people laugh, I'd never made the connection, but I think the connection is there, and that really changed. I don't know, just knowing that really changed something in me. I like to be very self-depreciative in the things I say. I make jokes about myself. I think that's a very English thing as well, to do that, to be very self-depreciative in your humour, in making jokes. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But with me, it's where that came from that made it a negative thing for me. Coming down and going down is too hard now. So I've had to get me poles out, mainly for balance. Talking about taking yourself seriously and playing the fool, and why should other people take me seriously when I don't take myself seriously, and how that is intrinsically linked with not hating any form of confrontation. And once I kind of had that understanding, I could still make jokes and still be the same person, but it had a different context. So that was one fundamental change, and a real positive one. But it kind of led on to another one about that. I was talking about that in a monologue, telling me I was a coward, and how I'd kind of been suspecting that it hadn't gone away like I believed, but more had changed context. So the voice was the same, and still accusing me, but where before I'd used evidence-based argument against it, here's my evidence, I'm not a coward, for example. It just changed context. And one of the things that had really struck me recently was me and Claire, like, the kids were tots, and me and Claire were having an argument, just a normal argument as couples argue. And my son Billy, he was a toddler, he came up and started hitting me and said, no, and I was really struck by how brave he was. And I've always looked at that, and I've always looked at him
and thought he was much braver than me. And I think back to my dad when my mum was crying for me to help and I couldn't. And that, can't remember when it was, a couple of months ago, maybe more, 6 months ago, it just suddenly struck me. I was like, well, the reason he was hitting me was because he wasn't scared of me, because I'm not a bad dad. I was completely looking at it from the wrong way. And that made me think that the voice, the accuser, hadn't gone away necessarily. I thought I'd defeated it, but I hadn't. It had just changed. And it was still there. So that got me thinking about it a lot. And that came up in our next conversation I had with Alex. I'll save that for the next stop. Ooh. That's what I've come down from, and that goes up beyond there to Brown Howell, and that's where I'm heading. That's Side Pike and the Gap. So I'll just put my poles away, so it seems a bit flatter now. So hopefully I can walk and talk. So we'll do that and then see if we can find this squeeze. So I've been thinking more and more about that voice. I've called it the accuser. And it's so much, I thought it was so much of part of who I am that I kind of just got used to it over the years. It's been there all my life, or I thought all of my life. And I remembered something a good friend of mine, Jamie Sanderson, co-founder of Rock to Recovery, and I heard him talk a couple of times. He's quite fond of saying, are you the voice, or are you the listener? And that kept coming back to me. I actually spoke to Jamie briefly, and I looked into that in a monologue. Did a bit of Google research, and what I found out was quite profound, actually, was that voice, not everybody has it, first of all. Around 2 to 5% of the population don't have that inner monologue. Researchers believe that it develops around the age of 4, and actually you are the listener. So the person listening to that voice is me, and that voice is an accumulation of all our experiences. So all of this out here, all the interactions you have with people, and your interactions with life, it's almost like the sum total of that. And once I understood that, I felt that I could put that voice in context and away, and it had a profound effect on me, a real profound effect. And I was speaking to Alex. This kind of all happened through speaking to Alex Mackenzie. Is I suddenly felt a connection to me as a child that I've never had before. I could look at pictures and go, oh, that's me as a child, but not really feel the me part in that sentence. I know that probably doesn't make sense. Trying to explain something probably doesn't make sense, to be fair. And that me part the listener. Once I put the accuser, that voice, the inner monologue, the one that told me I was a coward all my life, and the one that I thought I'd defeated, but I hadn't. It had just changed context and changed tack. Once I realised that's not me, I felt a real grounded. I felt the listener, me, more. And one of the things that happened, more or less, you know, after I was speaking to Alex, I went to Uganda, which turned out to be one of the most profound and amazing experiences of my life. Really was. But I found that I could experience that in the now, be grounded in the moment and enjoy it more. And I've felt grounded since. It's been a couple of months now, a month, 2 months. So it's had a profound and long lasting effect. And I feel like that understanding that the accuser, that voice, the inner monologue, isn't me, is really powerful. Really, really powerful. You can put it back in a box. It's still there, you still talk to yourself, still have those thoughts, but they don't have that power, that potency that they did before. Right, so this is Side Pike, and this is the path. Apparently I'll just follow the path round and I'll come to the squeeze. So that's the way I've come. Up there's Brown Howe, and there is the squeeze. Right, let's see if I'm too fat to get through it. Apparently you've got to take your day sack off, so I'm going to try and video myself going through it with my day sack, so see how we get on. Hello Nora. You're looking at me thinking you won't get through there. Right, let's get my day sack off. Right, let's go through. Tell you what, I'm going to take my mic off. Right, I'm committed because that's the day sack through, and that's me through. Hello. Just. Right.
Are you coming from this side or?
Yeah, I'm coming through, so I'm 3/4 of the way through. The problem is, I've got one leg and it's kind of awkward to.
Yeah.
If you could grab that,
Yeah,
for me, that'd be a great help. Thank you.
I'm giving your back as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Careful, we go up.
Ta-da!
Well done, really good.
With a little help. Thank you. there we go. I got through the squeeze. Tried to video myself coming through and got myself in a bit of a pickle. But luckily there was some guy, some family who came and helped me. Threw my day sack through and he took the camera off me, and then I managed to wiggle my way through. Yeah, mission accomplished. Right, I've got a fairly steep descent now. You can see where I'm going, so I'm going to put the camera away and take my mic off and get my poles out. Right, so that's me down from Side Pike. I'm now going to follow this path about 800 metres K to Dungeon Gill. Looks like I'm just going to miss the next bus, which is going now. So I'll have a pint, a well-earned pint, and wait for the next bus back to Chapel Stile. Well, that was a fantastic walk. That was really difficult coming down there. I've smashed my leg. My stump is really sore. So I don't know how long this 800 metres to a K is going to take us. So I'm having to stop every couple of 100 metres to get my leg off. So for not having a clue what I was going to talk about, sort of went round the houses a bit there. Started off talking about festivals and Glastonbury, and well, that's how we ended up coming here, because of Kendall calling, and ended up talking about you're in a monologue, and well, the definition of true self, I suppose. It's quite profound, weren't it? But actually, that sort of understanding that the listener is you, that's what you're born with. And the monologue, what I've always called the accuser, is really, it's not you. It's an accumulation of all your experiences, but it's not you. Has really had a massive effect on me, and being able to put what I call the accuser into context, it's like it's lost his power, if that makes sense. And it's meant sort of, I don't know if it's got quieter, and that's meant that I've been able to be in the present, be listening to myself. I don't know, it's a hard thing to put into words, but as I said, it's had a profound and positive effect on me. So thank you, Alex. Yeah, chance meeting. Right, off to Dungeon Gill and a pint.